This adventure is Dupont State Forest, Wintergreen Falls. Well, hello there. This adventure was at Dupont State Forest. This is a huge state forest, and if anybody looks up Dupont, the very first couple of waterfalls that pop up are called Triple Falls and Hooker Falls. Those are the two most known waterfalls in the area. Dupont Forest is located across Hendersonville, Pisgah Forest, and Brevard. It's a huge stretch that's like Henderson County and Transylvania County, but it's called the Land of Waterfalls. The amount of waterfalls that are in that area, if you actually Google search Dupont in the Blueridge Mountains, you'll find many waterfalls. And the waterfalls that we are approaching to today, or hiking to today, is called Wintergreen Waterfalls, and it was labeled as a beginner's hike to some intermediate. I have the kids with us. We have the kids with us in this video, as you can see, and it was very easy walk. It was a long walk. If you have children that are not adventurers, be aware that the walk itself to get to these falls is about 2 miles to get there, and then you have to do 2 miles back. So if you have little ones that just are not into walking in long distances, this hike might not be for you, but it was very beautiful, very scenic. This video, as you can see on the timestamp, it's only 27 minutes. However, filming this video and the walk, it was about 45 to 50 minutes long. So the majority of it was the 40 minutes of walking. And as you can see, I've sped it up, and so then that way you can still enjoy the scenery, but it won't be as long. It was a beautiful day, that day that we decided to go for the hike. The weather temperature was, I think it forecasted like 88 degrees for that day. However, because it was completely shaded, as you can see, we're stopping to look at tadpoles. They found tadpoles, and there were so many of them. That was like one of my favorite things to do as a kid growing up in Florida. We would have all of these distilled puddles like this with a quadrillion tadpoles in them. And anyway, the kids were just like amazed by it. It was so funny. But anyway, so the actual walking trail itself, everything's gravel. As you can see, it is just like this the entire time, up and down a little bit here and there. And as you see, as we get a little further in to the hike towards the middle part, you'll see where there's some kind of cool terrain with some rocks that you can climb over and whatnot. But because it was completely shaded, it was so nice. It did not feel nearly as hot as it would have been if you were fully exposed. There were a lot of bikers, a lot of horseback riders. Now, we didn't come across any horseback riders, but you do have the option to take a horse on the trail Now we came across a lot of different areas where you could definitely tell there were horses on the trails, if you get what I'm saying. But yeah, there was, at the very beginning of the video, there was a horse trailer that we kind of like perused by. We thought it was a privately owned horse trailer, like those were her horses and she was taking them out for rides. But at the end of the hike, when we were hiking back, we kind of moseyed over there to look at the horses, and she had a telephone number on the side of the trailer, so I'm guessing she was actually there to rent out the horses for hiking. She was feeding them too, so we didn't really ask too many questions. But yeah, so I think that ever so often you'll have people come out there to the parking lot and possibly rent out horses. One of my favorite things so far about this trail, if you notice, we're letting our youngest son just run and get all his energy out. They all knew that there was going to be a waterfall at the end of this hike. So the littlest one was so excited. But the really cool thing about the terrain in this particular area is there's no cliffs. So we didn't have to worry about him falling off of anything or possibly getting hurt. It was all free fall. Hike were like tripping us out because it reminded us of the beach. It's really weird because there are certain areas in the mountains and some of the areas that we particularly like to go where the sand is really soft and it reminds you a lot of like sand you would find at the beach. So right here where we're looking at right now, there was split offs from the main road of hiking to the little hiking trails along the side as you're going towards these falls. And one is advertised as more of a advanced or rough terrain. Now, this is our very first time ever being to this little waterfall that we were hiking to. Normally we stick with the popular ones, which is Hooker Falls and Triple Falls at Dupont, but today we decided to be a little different and just find something smaller or something that we've never been to that's a little bit more unique. But all along this trails, off this main road, there are smaller trails that you can take, and it seems like they may be a little bit more up and down and rocky, and we didn't really go that way because, again, with the smaller one, I didn't want to have to worry about babysitting him technically and taking him down all the stones and stuff if there were. Also, let it be known, the further that we got into the trail and the more far back that we got, you can tell that you're getting closer to water, first of all, because you can see that the terrain is changing just a little bit with some rocks and whatnot. But bugs, lots and lots of bugs. Bring bug spray. We've lived here all the time, and I didn't even think about the fact to pack or spray ourselves with bug spray. And that was a duh moment. So please make sure that you do bug spray. At one point you're going to see my oldest and the hubby holding hats above their heads because they thought the highest point the bugs wouldn't mess with them. But anyway, I don't know, we were swatting, we were trying to like power walk through. It was one of those situations where you're just like, I can't believe we didn't bring bug spray. All right, so this is where I was talking about. This is where the bugs were getting really bad. Look at the boys holding their hats up, trying to swat them. So funny. All right, finally, we found the sign that talks about do not do this, that, or the other climbing on these falls. You could slip, you could fall, you could get hurt, you could die. No diving, shallow water, all of that fun stuff. Man, I'll tell you what, when we saw that brown sign, the kids were going crazy, but yet it was still another 5-minute walk. So There's the signs, but once you hit that sign, you know you've just got another 5 minutes. Here is the first sight of running water, the little stream. Beautiful rocks. Now, if you do not have proper shoes on, you can slip, and that's the reason why they have all the warning signs. They are all about letting people wade in the water, put your feet in, all that jazz, but you got to do it with safety first, because you never know what can happen. And this part here, to me, was the only part that was a little scary, because you are, as you can see there, I took a second to just kind of pause, get a good shot so you could see going up and then going down. You just got to be careful. This is the only part out of the whole walk that I was kind of like, make sure you're holding the baby's hand, that kind of thing. And you can kind of see through the shrubbery there. We're getting closer. And ta-da! Wintergreen Falls. This is a very tiny waterfall. Again, this is not one of the more popular ones, are nearly as big or majestic as the other ones are that are highly populated, but it's quiet, it's pretty. This is just a little treacle. This is the very first wading pool that we came to so that we could hang out and put our feet in. The kids at that point were pointing out, look at them, they're all looking, because there's little minnows, and they were like sucking on Zeke's toes, and Zeke had a moment there for a minute, but all the little tiny fishes. And there were I saw one crawdad. I didn't get to show it because I was afraid my phone might fall in the water. It's not waterproof, but there was one crawdad that I saw, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've never seen a crawdad like that close and in the creek like that. But yeah, the little minnows were tickling our feet. And as you can see there, now we didn't let Zeke get in because look, there's a lot of rocks, as you can see, and as you can imagine, they are slippery, and he wasn't wearing his little protective life gear for him to be able to go swimming. But if there was all sand, he totally could have gone, because it wasn't deep. It was only up so far. But we just kind of stood to the side and put our feet in. We put our butt in the water and sat on the rocks that were right there. Jack and LJ, thumbs up, yay, we did it. They went a little further out, obviously, there to see. But yeah, so if you do have any kids that are a little bit smaller, just beware. Now this area here, my husband Jack went up and did this photos for me. That's the higher part of the waterfall there for Wintergreen Falls. And as you can see, there is another little wading pool there. I didn't feel comfortable hauling everybody up the little rock cliff. And it really wasn't that bad. It wasn't that big. Everybody was making fun of me. Try it, because why don't you go up there? Why don't you go up there? But again, with Zeke and honestly, the shoes I was wearing kind of were freaking me out. I should have worn better shoes to do climbing over rocks. But this would have been a really nice area to bring your kids up to. And there's Jack. My little Jack. And they're on their way coming back down. I will say this was a really fun walk. There was only one part in the middle where the kids, are we there yet? Which is, natural because you want to get there. I've got some really nice little slide videos here. But yeah, I mean, it was a nice walk. It was a nice little wading pool. It was very relaxing. And it was a great trip. So be adventurous. Look outside of the most popular areas. You never know what you're going to find, especially off the beaten path. Have a good day.